Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I got a story. Want to hear it? Here it goes. Well, today is Friday, the 24th of May. It's approximately 1:15-ish. No, 12:21. I'm sorry, my appointment was a little bit different today. So this is just this particular segment is going to be a little bit different today. This is going to talk about resetting and dealing with grief. This is probably going to be the part one of it. So just like I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks about hitting the reset button and resetting yourself in life for different ventures, I had a rude awakening today. I was doing some gig work this morning, and it actually put me in the actual area where my oldest son was murdered. I have not been at this particular spot in over 2 years, because he would have been dead 3 years, July the 2nd. And that was my first time ever being right back in that location. And I didn't even know how to feel about it. Of course, we can't determine in life when we're going to be faced with challenges where we have to kind of re-explore a situation where we may once have been put in before and see what it's like. And today it was kind of weird. It was not really a deja vu, but kind of a deja vu, because not only that, my next order, after I dropped that off, the GPS was acting crazy, and it put me back at the spot in which we lived during the time that he was killed. And that was crazy, because I checked the GPS several times to make sure that it was going to take me to my next destination. And each time I put it in, it brought me back to that exact location where we lived. And the weird thing is, no one lives there now. But as time goes on, I will try to figure out what the purpose was of that today. But I wanted to share that with you all because, again, I'm about self-healing, self-growing, self-motivation. And sometimes we are faced with things that are not necessarily skeletons in our closet, because my son being killed is not one of those. But I definitely was not expecting to be put in a position where I had to go and revisit that. So I took film of me going out there because I wanted you all to see where he was killed. So I will be putting those clips in the actual video today. So you'll see me riding past, you'll see the building, you'll see the parking lot in which he was murdered. And I'm also going to show you a clip of, I'll give you a trigger warning, because I know how TikTok is about unaliving. So that's what this video is mainly about. How I feel about it, I was kind of shaken up a little bit. I didn't feel the need to cry. I wanted to reach out to someone. However, during the course of time that was going on, I had already talked to everybody pretty much today. So my spirits are still good. I'm not overwhelmed. And that's another thing, guys. for those that are going through grieving, it is a process. It's not easy. It's not something you get over overnight. And the worst thing somebody can do to you when you're grieving is telling you how long it should take you to finish that process. However, I will say, if it's becoming to consume you to the point where you're either struggling with substance abuse of any kind, whatever you're using as far as your method of handling your grief, and it's not really a, what do you want to say, a substance you should be using to deal with grief, I suggest, like I have said all before, and I'll never say it any clearer, you should be seeking help. There's NAMI, there's all types of other organizations that is out there that will help you with dealing with grief and mental health issues so that you won't be dealing with it in a negative way. And you definitely don't let it need to consume you to where you can't have the will to live. Especially if you're someone that has children and you're responsible for your other children well-being as well. Even if they are grown, sometimes we have to put on a bigger hat than what we would like, because we are human, but sometimes we have to be the strong ones for those that we are responsible for. And just keep that in mind. So that's why I'm saying, don't let grief get to the point where it's consuming you so you can't function in your everyday life, because life goes on. And I will say this, it is hard when we do have to bury children, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to live and our children are supposed to bury us. And especially it's a hard pill to swallow when, you know, your child is unalived versus him being sick. And even in sickness, it would be something hard to swallow, because again, unless it's a situation where the child came into the world sick, we definitely would grieve them, but we know that they were in a better place. So again, guys, I'm just saying, if you are dealing with grief and it is consuming you, I suggest that you get help. Fortunate for me, I was going through a separation from my husband, and I lost my son all in the same year. So I was able to seek I was able to seek the assistance of having a therapist in my life to help me go through some things, because being separated and divorced, or going through a divorce, is like a grieving process too, especially if that person was in your life for over 10 years. It's just like that person is not there anymore, and you are grieving them, the loss of a person or a family member, whether positive or negative. At some point, that person was a part of your life in your everyday routine. I know when I first was going through it, I found myself fixing meals and setting a table and just having to remember that that person wasn't there. Same with my son. I was going grocery shopping, and my son was an adult, but he lived with me during the course of the time when he was unalived, and it was hard not picking up things that he specifically liked, going grocery shopping or going in a mall or something and passing by their favorite store, or even holidays is hard. I cannot stress that enough, how hard it is. But what I try to do, or have done, is when holidays pass, especially I know if it's something that my son catered to, I try to make the best out of it. And I advise you all to do the same. But definitely don't let grief overconsume you to the point where you cannot function anymore. This is going to probably be a 2-part segment. I'm already at 10 minutes, but I'm going to say see you in part 2.